technical things. We're still mapping through this. Thank you very much for your patience, and we'll be getting started in just a moment. I hope you're having a great day. So we're just getting going. We've just got a few little technical things. We're mapping through this. Thank you very much for your patience, and we'll be getting started in just a moment. Thank you. Okay. Good. I'd like to talk about, Susie and I were going to start talking about our goals. Like we are ourselves doing a 12-week health challenge as well. I'm actually going to the full 100 days because for me, it just sounds a bit more round. And yeah, I've actually doing this as part of a challenge with my brothers. I've recruited my brothers in to help. So they are going to be getting healthier over the next few weeks as well. I'm lucky enough to have 3 brothers. So we're quite a crew, and we are going very healthy over the next 12 weeks or 100 days in my case. I've got my younger brother's wedding coming up at the end of the year, so we're using that as a good excuse to all get healthy for and look great for. So my goal is actually to get to under 10% body fat, which I've never done before, all my years of training and everything. I just thought I'd give that a go. So, Suze, what's your goal? What are you working on over the next 12 weeks?
My goal is I actually do a fair bit of exercise, as you probably already know, and I feel like the most productive goal to improve my health would be to be able to switch off a little bit more. Yep. So I'm going to try and switch off for at least 10 minutes a day. So no technology and just focusing on mindfulness for those 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just going to switch on to technology for a second though, so you can continue talking.
Yeah, so I'll keep talking here while Suze is just getting our the stream up and running from the Facebook side of things. Yes, I do agree. I actually think that's one of the goals that I've been trying hardest over the past few years to do. And I know how busy Susie is, how hard she works. All the back end stuff for all this 12-week program. We don't have an IT department. You're looking at our IT department right now. So
which is
Susie,
now going to become the complaints department if it doesn't work.
Department as well. It's a lot of effort and a lot of work. So Susie is doing her best to make sure that it is running as smoothly as possible. But we are, in essence, a small business trying to do what we can to help people. So we apologise that there has been a few technical glitches over this first week as we've got up and running. But fingers crossed, it should be smoother sailing from here going forward. So we look forward to that. Okay. So we're going to talk a bit more about just recapping how the program is working, and then we're going to jump into today's topics about getting started with your exercises. I'm hoping people have chosen their goal. We've got until this Friday to post your goal online in the measurements section. And so that's taking a recording of what's important to you and writing your goals and the measurements like we spoke about last week. Because as I said, for you to be eligible for the prize, which is the trip on the Garn, your measurements have to be entered in by this Friday. So we really want to make sure that for those who want to participate in the competition to be eligible, you have to have your results in by Friday. So I do want to really stress that. If you're not worried about the trip on the Garn, I still think it's a really good idea to enter a goal and keep measurements of yourself because it's really motivating. It's much better if you can have something that you're working towards and have some way of tracking that so you can keep that progress. But definitely, if you are participating in the competition, we want to make sure that you've got those measurements in by Friday. The other thing that we do encourage is to take a photo or even a video. I didn't actually talk about that much last week. A video of yourself. If you want to, maybe it's an activity you want to improve on, getting someone to record a video of yourself is a great way of showing that measurement and showing that progress. So I do highly encourage people to take a video. If you're not a tech person, you can get a friend or a neighbor or a child, a grandchild, someone. Basically, nearly all mobile phones have good cameras these days, video cameras. So you can just take a 20-second video and load that of yourself doing something that you want to improve on. I think that's a really good measurement. A great way to track it for you to be able to go back and watch it later and see the improvement from yourself. because we're such visual creatures. We love to see how we've improved. So photos are really great. They're a great tool, but I find videos even more powerful. You agree, Suze?
I agree. Do you mind studying Facebook from your...
Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get Facebook getting going from my phone here. So my apologies for the delay, folks.
So while Taylor's getting that set, we might just talk about the structure for the program, just to remind people, because all of the content doesn't just appear at the start of the week. So we have the class that obviously starts on the Monday, and that will stream at 10 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then the Tuesday discussion session with Taylor and myself is obviously 12:30. And following that is tomorrow there will be the article that will be up. So you will be able to view all of that information. The easiest way to access all of that information is actually to sign up on our website for a free membership, and that way you'll be able to go back through and easily have a week by week rundown of each of the components. You'll be able to go through and specifically look at the classes, the discussion videos, etc. Now, we had a question after yesterday's class. I'm just
going to say hello to everyone on Facebook who's now joining us. Apologies again. We will get this right. We do love Facebook.
Maybe
and
that should be our 12-week goal.
Yeah, a 12-week goal is getting Facebook right. We do love Facebook. We're trying to stream across multiple platforms here. So we have multiple things going at once. So we're on YouTube, Facebook, and on our website. So getting them all talk at the same time sometimes can be a little tricky. But welcome to those on Facebook. We've just done a quick recap of the goals and everything from last week. But now we're going to be jumping, Susie's going to be jumping in and talking about things going forward from here. So go for it, Suze. You were talking about the rundown of the week, how the week works.
Yeah, so just to recap again. So the content on the Monday, we'll have the class. On the Tuesday, we'll have our Q&A discussion sessions. And then on the Wednesday, we'll release an article, which is a summary of the chapter for the week that we're focusing on. Yeah. And so all of the content, if you're accessing it via our website, which is probably the best way to do it, you can sign up for a free membership, and that way you can go back through each week. That will go up accordingly. So when you log into the up and coming week, all of the information will display on the main page when you log in. That is available to date. And then you'll be able to navigate the other information on the left-hand side menu.
Yeah. And so each week more information will be added to it. And you can always go back and watch older videos, whether it be one of the exercise classes or one of these question and answers that Susie and I are doing at the moment. They'll all be up there as long as you're registered. If you're registered to it, you'll be able to get access to all of it over the full 12 weeks. So great. So we're going to get started into the next, as I said, the next topic of today, which is really about getting started in exercise. So hopefully everyone's got their goals. They know what they're working on. Now we're going to talk about how to make that start into the program. So the first thing we want to look at is, how do you go about making a change? When you first start anything new, whether it be a new eating plan, new exercise routine, a new sleep routine, hydration, whatever it is, change is quite difficult. So often it takes something quite significant for this to motivate people to get started with it. It takes like a dramatic event, maybe a health incident for yourself, or it could be a family member, something that happens to someone close to you and you're like, whoa, I've really got to do something about this. But it doesn't have to be that way. There can be smaller steps that you can take. So Suze, what do you think on what's a good way when someone's making a change to start with to get some momentum going with that change?
Referring back to what you were saying, I think one of the reasons that people often change is because of negative factors like what you've talked about. So the consequences of not changing. And that doesn't seem to be as effective as focusing more on the positives of what you will gain from making the change. Yeah. So I think, making a list even inside your mind of what am I going to achieve? How is this going to help me? What's the outcome of making this change can help to stack those odds, because at the end of the day, a change is only made when we feel as though there's enough positive to overcome any resistance to making that change. I always found it really interesting as well, the magnitude that's required when you're focusing more on those negatives. I used to see a lot of clients that had just recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I found they didn't take the importance of lifestyle change as significantly as someone who had a serious heart attack. And, taking that into account, you don't want to be the person who waits for the serious heart attack to happen. You want to try and take that front foot and think about the positives and, use that to your advantage rather than those negatives.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, and as Suze was saying, that we, unfortunately, and I don't want to go too much down this track, our medical system is you're either sick or you're well a lot of the time. Like if you don't have an illness, you're fine until you have an illness. But it's not that black and white. There's this huge spectrum of grey where a lot of the problems that we're facing in society, it's this build-up, it's this accumulation over time that leads us to one of these bigger problems. So we don't want to have to wait for it. So getting back into it though, what are some things? As I said, I like to focus on lifestyle. For me, if there's one word that I could use to describe health and well-being, it's probably energy. When my health is good, I've got great energy. And so I often don't think about a lot of the other measurables as much as I just think about, how do I feel? How's my energy levels? Generally, your energy levels are going to correlate with how healthy you've been. So if you've been really healthy lately, your energy levels are up. But what does that lead to? More energy means I have more fun. I'm a better, in my case, I'm a better father and I'm a better husband. I'm a better work colleague when I'm healthier. So often I try and relate it back to, how's it going to have an effect on me? And due to my own personality type, how does my being healthier affect other people around me? So it makes, when I feel better, I'm better for those around me. I'm better in service to those around me, because that's what my biggest motivating factor is, trying to help people. So looking at it, how does the change make a difference for you in your overall life and well-being? So even before you start to try and put those little changes in place, what does the big picture look like? How does it, if you've achieved this goal that you're going for, how is that better for you? How is that better for your family? How is that better for the people around you? So as Susan said, focusing on the positives. Let's start focusing on the positives first, because there's bound to be some discomfort if you're making changes. Okay.
I think as well, a lot of people are very complacent and have an attitude of the negative consequences won't happen to them. But, again, reframing and focusing more on the positives being a possibility and happening, and, what that's going to feel like. And that can really make a difference as well.
Yeah. The next thing to look at is there will be barriers along the way. There will be obstacles that are going to crop up. That's almost guaranteed. As you start something new, there will be things that throw up in your way. Incidents will happen. Maybe it's something with your family. Maybe it's something in your personal life. Maybe it's a health issue. There will be some challenges. It can be a time restraint. It can be a financial restraint, though we are running a free health program here, so hopefully it's not financial. There are many different barriers that can come up, but what we've got to look at is what positive steps that we could do to overcome these things. So there are often ways around it if we think creatively. So what do you recommend, Suze? What are you looking at? What are the things that you see most commonly block people, and how can they get around it?
I think the first one is a lack of time. And I would encourage anyone who thinks they have a lack of time to map out an entire day, every minute of your day, and you'll generally realize that there are a few spare minutes in there. I think people have the perception as well with exercise that it's not worth it unless you commit a long period of time. But even if you have 5 or 10 minutes spare before you have to do something else, and you are able to do a couple of exercises in that time, you're getting the benefit from it. It's not just about having structured exercises. It's about finding opportunities to move rather than, being too rigid with it as well. I think a lack of equipment is another one when it comes to exercise, although we've given you hopefully some different ideas about objects that you can use around the house: cans, towels, chairs, walls. None of it's really complex, and you can get a very good workout from all of the equipment.
And your own body weight too.
Yeah.
So I'm just commenting, I'll piggyback on what Sue's saying. There are many days that I don't have a huge amount of time to get some exercise done. And so I'll just simply do some push-ups and like squats just within my body weight. And if that's all I get in for, like often that's in the morning, if I'm rushing to get ready, I try and exercise in the morning because like Susie's saying, we get busy, we get time restrained. I try and do mine in the morning. And even if I just get in a few minutes, at least I know I've done something for the day, which makes me get me started on the day. And I just use my body weight. So yeah, it doesn't have to be much. But sorry, Suze, to jump in.
No, that's okay. I think one of the other really interesting ones is that it's too late to change.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was thinking about, we had a staff member who actually sent an email around to all of our staff to motivate people, because we had a member who'd started exercising at the centre at the young age of 91, and who told the staff member that he had no intentions of continuing on when he first came in for that assessment. I think he was feeling obligated from his doctor to visit.
Had some external pressure on him to come in. Let's just put it that way. He was told he needed to come in, but he said, yeah.
But he's now continuing to attend and he's enjoying it, and he can notice a difference. So I think that's a perfect example of, the fact that you can notice a difference at any age.
Yep.
The only thing that's stopping you is, whatever those barriers are, and pull them down. Try and make, little small changes rather than trying to change too much all at once. If you're an all or nothing personality, set the bar of all being a lot smaller. So it might be, I want to aim for one exercise session that I have to do every week.
Yep, I agree. There's so many good points in there. And as I said, even if you just take like a couple little things out of today, Susan and I are obviously going to cover a bit of stuff. And we obviously, it's hard for us to personalize the message for the hundreds of people out there, thousands of people out there watching. We want to make sure that you're at least able to take one thing away. And I think Susie's just hit on some really great points in there. Just make it easy, make it really simple is probably one of the key message that I would start with. If you haven't done anything before, the biggest mistake I find that people make is, yes, they try and go all in, myself included here. And I think I learned after these years, but we tend to go and set these really big goals, but that becomes really daunting. Whereas we break them down into small goals, we are able to think, okay, I can do that. I can drink an extra cup of water a day. I can get up 5 minutes earlier and just do some stretches. I think one of my key things that I like to do to make it easier for myself is I get up quite early in the morning and my wife and kids are still asleep, and I don't want to disturb them if I want to stay married for a long period of time. So I get out my clothes the night before. My clothes are at the foot of my bed. So I get up in the morning and I don't need to then go through my cupboard and find my exercise clothes, find things. I get it all out and I get it ready to go. So I get up in the morning and I go straight out, get into my exercise gear, sneak out the front door, and then go do my exercise. So looking at ways, and I've heard this from some people, it's kind of not a guilt trip, but a reminder. They put their running shoes at the end of their bed. So they get up and they're like, oh, I've got to do them. So the first step could be just putting on your runners. That could be step number one. And then from there, going out and then like, okay, I'll just walk around the block to start with, or I'll just do a minute of stretching. And once you get into it, what I find, and I'm sure you agree, Suze, is that once you get started, you feel good and you keep going. It's the first step that's the most critical. So make that first step as easy as possible for yourself. Make it easy to get into the exercises. The other,
No, I was just going to say, back to what you were talking about in terms of doing too much too soon. I think it's very easy for people to understand if you were going to train for a marathon, which is a 42-kilometre run. So they're very
We're not recommending, by the way.
No.
But that's not part of the 12-week health challenge. So
but hopefully it puts perspective into it. You wouldn't go straight from running no kilometres per week or not running at all to running the 42 kilometres. You need to build up. And so the same applies with any exercise. It's just all scaled relative to your level of health and what your goals are. And in what you were talking about with respect to putting the shoes on and making it easier and overcoming those barriers, I have shared it in the book, but my husband, who'll probably not be pleased that I'm sharing this, used to have a struggle with gym memberships, and he used to cycle through gym memberships. And so when
he's not watching anyway, so he won't know.
We decided that the best way to keep him motivated was actually to sign up on a membership where he could bring a guest. It was the same cost as it would be for both of us to join on a normal membership. And so that meant I have a much higher natural exercise motivation for obvious reasons, hopefully. And so I would want to go and exercise, but I can't do it unless he does. And so I then became his cheerleader so that I could get my exercise needs met. But you need to be aware of where your weaknesses are, because once we did that, he had the longest period of gym attendance that he'd ever had since I've met him, and kept it up, and then really became invested and enjoyed. I don't think he enjoyed it initially, and perhaps there were some mornings where he didn't really feel like exercising, but he didn't have an option. And so I think that was a good strategy.
Yeah, I agree. And knowing Andrew, he wouldn't have wanted to waste that money. He's paid that money for the gym membership with you. He's like, okay, I'm going to do it. But also at the same time, having you, as I said, having someone hold you accountable. It doesn't need to be a husband and wife. That can often lead to marital problems. So I was going to say, just framing that it doesn't necessarily have to be your spouse. If I tried to get my wife up and exercising with me in the morning, it would not do me well. My wife likes to exercise in the afternoons, and I like to exercise in the mornings. So maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's
a pet.
Maybe it's a pet. It could be your I'm hoping puppy dog. I imagine, I don't know about walking a cat. I do see people doing it, but yeah. But having something that then gets you going with it as well. And as Susan and I have been talking about, just start small. Just start really small with it and build. As I said, we do have the 12-week health challenge with the overarching goal, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is going beyond the 12 weeks. This 12 weeks, we do have to put up a time frame to this, because to give you a bit of an incentive and motivation, and obviously have our prize. But it's not really about the 12 weeks. It's about your life going forward, that you put good, healthy habits in place that are sustainable. So we don't want people going, right, well, I've got to achieve this goal of this 12 weeks. I'm going to be doing 5 times exercise a week when they haven't been doing any. I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and really push themselves hard, particularly in these first couple of weeks, and end up, one, injuring themselves, which is our number one concern. We don't want anyone hurting themselves doing these exercises. You want to be smart about it. You want to be safe with it. But secondly, becoming demotivated after a week or two of doing this and going really hard. You're like, I can't keep this up. And then not doing anything at all. The slow and steady will win over the long haul. And it's about small incremental improvements. So I read a great book on this years ago called The Slight Edge. And it's all about making a 1% improvement per day. And I've actually heard this at a lot of elite level athletes as well. So the British cycling team use this, I know. They call it the 1%er. And they just try and improve 1% per day. But over the course of a year, that improvement is, I should know the exact number, but it's a phenomenal amount. You think it's 365%, but it's even more than that, because it's an exponential growth. So the story that I heard, and I thought was a great one, just giving you another analogy, is if someone gives you a cent, but it doubles every day, how long until you have $1 million? And you think, oh, well, it'll be a year or two. It's not, it's a month, because growth on growth on growth on growth on growth just continues to compound. And I think a lot of that with health as well, but it can go the other way. If you're not doing anything, it's sliding downwards. But if you just do a little bit each day and just try and do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, eventually the curve goes upwards. And you won't even recognize yourself after 12 weeks, 6 months, a year of just being steady and consistent and just trying to do a little bit more, just a little bit. You'll have that huge change over the long term. So I do really want to focus on that slow and steady approach with that little bit of an increase each time you do it. Just try and do a little bit better.
As they say, little by little becomes a lot.
Yep. Yes, indeed. There's a reason for it. All those cliche sayings, they've all got truth to them. So good.
But just taking it back to accountability again, I think that's a very individual thing. We find in the centre here, it's quite interesting that people like the discipline of having, if you find that motivation is a difficulty for you, having the discipline of something that you have to book in for exercise wise can be really, really good to overcome that as a barrier. And you have then an accountability to, the centre that you're booking into or the class that you're booking into. And that's also the power of, getting a friend to exercise with you or someone else, because you feel like you're letting them down as much as you're letting yourself down. The other thing that I think is really important is not getting too down on yourself if you do, miss one session or you miss 1 week or you have one bad week. It's very easy to get back onto, your routine, and don't feel as though, oh, well, it's no point now. There's, no benefits to going into disaster mode, and just think, okay, maybe reflect on it and say, well, what happened? What happened that was in my power or my control? What could I do to stop it from happening in the future?
What can you learn from it as well, and going forward? I do agree. Don't be too tough on yourself. Now, I know we've got some great people watching from home on Facebook, and we do have a couple of questions, but I do want to encourage now, please pop your questions in. We've got a couple of questions which we're going to get to in just a moment, but we really do want you to think, are there any challenges or obstacles that you have when you're getting started with exercise? What are the things that challenge you? What are the things that you find that you would like help with? And if you're not comfortable sharing them in the public forum here, you can contact us. You can send us a message either via Facebook Messenger or via email. You were more than welcome. We're here to help. So please reach out, where we want to see how you're doing. We also do want to talk about the competition as well. Obviously, we've got the competition with not just the overall big picture of the trip on the Ghana or Indian Pacific, but we're holding little competitions as we go. We've encouraged people to write down their goals and tag them in us. Now, we do have one challenge with people tagging us on social media, that with privacy settings, we can't actually see that. If people have got certain privacy settings. So we do feel that people have tagged it, but we haven't been able to read them. So we haven't actually been able to see that. And it didn't really, for a lot of people that aren't on Facebook, that's not really as helpful for them. So we do want to extend that offer of the double pass for the movies. If you would send us an email with what your goal is, and what your experience has been thus far doing the exercises. So I know we're only a week in, but let us know what's your goal, how you've been going so far. And as I said, we'll pick 3 people out of that. So that can be either a message via Facebook or on our email, and we have our competition page as well.
Yeah, we do. So, with that, we do have a competition up for this week as well, which is to send us a photo of your best exercise motivation. One of our staff, Carla, sent us a great photo of her dog Honey with a sweatband on. So we're looking for the best photo there. You can email that through to us. The details are in the competitions page, or you can take a photo and tag us.
We'll take a photo and we can try and tag us. But we will put a post in below as well on our Facebook page, so that people can just reply to that post. That will probably make it easier for people, and we don't have the issues of privacy blocking what people have done. Now, some other examples of that photo, like what's your motivation? What motivates you to exercise? So obviously Carla has used her dog as an example. So it could be your puppy dog. It could be your grandchildren. It could be an activity you want to do. It could be somewhere you eventually want to travel to. What's the motivation for you? What's the positive? So as I said, Susie's already touched on the large portion of today's emphasis is on the positive aspect of getting healthier. So what's the positive aspect for you? What motivates you? So we're going to jump into a few questions.
So we've got...
also, we can keep our names anonymous too. Sorry, Suze, to interrupt with that one. If people don't, you don't have to post your name, though obviously if you're doing it online via social media, that's obviously given, but you can, you can post stuff anonymously.
So question 1, Louise said, where is the page that you can download to track daily activities? I've created a link on the main login page. There's a download button. If you click on that, it's a Word document. It will automatically download. If you do have any problems with it, please send us an email or send us a contact form, and we can send it directly to you instead. But as far as I'm aware, that link should be working.
Yep. And apologies, that was my fault for not communicating that to Suze to upload that earlier. So thank you very much for those who've contacted us. And it's great to see that you are tracking your activities. That's a great way to keep you motivated. So thank you very much. Another question from Louise. So
Louise also said, I want my goal to be measurable. Is it realistic to achieve a 15% increase in body strength over 12 weeks?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to say a definite yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be all done in weeks 1 to 2, that's for sure, like we talked about, particularly with strength gains. It's a little by little each week. You just try and do a little bit more each week than you did the week before. So I was looking actually, we measure our clients strength and flexibility and mobility and balance every 12 weeks when they have an assessment here at Active Seniors. Now, some of the strength increases that I've seen in 12 weeks, we've seen people double in 12 weeks. That's not what I'm saying you should do. And depending on where your baseline is and where you want to get to, but we've seen people up to double their strength in a 12-week period.
I think the key is the baseline. I was talking to a member this morning who has a goal of increasing the number of push-ups he can do. And he had a very ambitious goal initially, although he's very strong and fit, of doing 100 continuous push-ups.
Wow. I'd be happy with that. Yeah.
Yep. And I said, well, how many can you do at this point in time? And so he went and tested himself and he was able to do 38 continuously. And I said, I think that with
pretty good.
That's fantastic, but it's probably a little bit ambitious to aim for 100 by the end of a 12-week cycle, and that you need to set those goals realistically according to where your baseline was. If he was able to do 50 to 75 push-ups, then 100 would be a much more realistic goal. But understanding where your baseline is from a strength perspective is very important when you're setting those goals, and also thinking about how long you have been exercising, because if you are new to exercise, you can expect bigger increases and improvements earlier on. And if you've been exercising for a longer period of time, then the strength improvements that you see tend to be a much more incremental, smaller changes.
Yep, agree. I agree with that 100%. So it's a fantastic question. And as Sue said, it doesn't matter where you start from, like doubling if you can do one sit to stand in 15 seconds, going to 2, you've doubled it. You've doubled your strength capacity, but it does depend on where you're starting from. So, and as Sue said, how much you've done before. So, but great question. Everyone will be different with this, but I think that's a realistic goal. Even if you've got decent amount of strength, not knowing your measurements, a decent amount of strength. Most people, if you're working on it each week and trying to improve a little bit, 15% is a very achievable goal, and I think a great one. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So
the other question that we had from Michael was, in week 2, do you do the week 1 exercises as well as week 2? And yes, you can definitely do that. So the goal is to think about where you're coming from to determine how many sessions per week. We spoke a little bit about this in the last Q&A session last week, where we said if you haven't been exercising continuously at all, then, or in the past, that aiming for 2 sessions a week is a good place to start. And if you have, then you can look at increasing that to 3 strengthening sessions per week. Yesterday's class was a mobility class that did involve some strength moves. So having a day in between that and last week's exercise video is a good idea, just to make sure that the body has time to adapt. But there's no reason why you can't add other activities such as walking or cycling or whatever aerobic activities that you perform or are looking to stay active with.
Yeah, particularly. I'm not sure, I can't speak for the rest of the country. I mean, we're getting some beautiful weather in Sydney. Unfortunately, today is a little smoky, but it's been beautiful weather. This, I think, is actually one of the best times of the year to start getting active, to be getting outside. It's a bit fresh in the mornings, but as you get going through the day, it's not too hot. Fingers crossed so far it hasn't been too rainy, so people can be getting outside and enjoying that sunshine. So we are here to help. We want to emphasize that over this next 12 weeks, we want to help as many people as possible. So we do want to encourage you, if you haven't already, please share this with a family member, a friend. We want to increase the number of people doing this to as many as possible. Obviously, the more people we help, the better. We are so fortunate we've been able to have that partnership with the Ghana and Indian Pacific Journey Beyond Rail experiences. They've provided us with this amazing prize, so we want to engage as many people as possible, but also to help people get healthy. That's the number one thing, is we really want people to get healthy here, and we're here to help. So thank you all. Any other questions, please let us know. I don't think we've got any more come through at this stage.
And just a reminder, so the end of this week is when you need to have your measurements and your goal in to be eligible for the big prize. But if you join, or if you encourage friends, family members to join at any point in time, you're still going to get the benefit of having an improvement to your health and hopefully, reaching or working towards the goals that you set. But B, you will also be able to participate in our other competitions. So it's just for the main prize, you need to have those measurements and that health goal in by this Friday.
Great. Excellent. So thank you all very much. I appreciate that you're jumping on board with us today, or if you're watching a bit later, I hope you enjoyed today. Thank you for your patience and understanding. And we look forward to seeing you then next week, and look forward to hearing about all the health changes you're having. If you're starting to get some wins already, please